Welcome to the 11th annual CFAR Fall Scientific Retreat. Before I get started, a couple announcements. I'm told on your name tags there is in the lower left-hand corner, there's a letter that tells you what you ordered for lunch. Okay? Very important. And also, you should note in your program that there was a frame shift somewhere in the printing for the posters, and you have an insert such that in your booklet, 1 through 18 are correct, and then the rest, 19 throughout, are the insert that was included. Okay? I think there was as the printer was doing things, something got duplicated or left out. So in the next 15 minutes, I want to give you an update on where we've been over the past year and hopefully where we're going, and to set the stage for today's event. We do this each year, go over the chronology, as most of you know, although some of the new people don't. We really began back in July 1st, 2005, when we got the new Duke CFAR Award, and carried it all the way through, such that, again, as most of you know, we submitted a competitive renewal, and it was reviewed and awarded November of 2014. We'll go into more of that. We'll gloat a little bit. And so as of July, we're beginning year 11. We are a Tier 1 CFAR. The tier, NIH gives us a funded research-based evaluation. So the number of AIDS dollars coming in from the NIH annually, if it's 40 million or less, you're Tier 1, and you get funded at 1.5 million total per year. If you surpass the 40, you become a Tier 2, and it goes up to 2.25, et cetera. And we've flirted with this, although the rule is you have to reach that 40 million plateau the year you're recompeting. So even though you go up over it during the non-competitive years, you're still Tier 1. So I think we're doing okay as Tier 1, but there are aspirations as we begin to grow again that maybe we will cross that plateau during a competition year. So current funded research base as for fiscal year 2014 was 32 million. And our membership has continued to grow. As of 2014, 386 members, 204 full members, and 178 associate members. So again, congratulations. And we're always looking to add new members, and we're going to enlist your help in identifying new members. Just to remind you, the CFAR is sponsored by a number of institutes and centers at the NIH who all throw money into the pool, and it's then distributed to the CFARs. And these are all the centers and institutes that participate. The ones with the asterisk are the ones that actually we have NIH funding sponsored by them, NCI. There are a couple that we do not, NHLBI, for example, NIA, but we think that's going to be corrected fairly soon. And it would be great to have a diverse portfolio that encompasses all of the contributing co-sponsoring institutes and centers. We're very NIAID-centric, looking at, for fiscal year 10 through 13, total of $144 million. The lion's share, 85%, is coming through NIAID, with smaller shares through the others. And again, we hope to, as we move forward, maybe diversify a little bit more and become less NIAID dependent, although, again, funding is good no matter where it's coming from. This is familiar to many of you in the audience, but may not be familiar to those that haven't gone through this. This is the first page of a summary statement. It used to be called pink sheets, and I'm old enough to remember when they were actually pink, but they're not pink anymore. That's been phased out. This was the summary statement that we got for the CFAR. I think it was 58 pages long, something like that. A little bit longer than for an R01, but the real key with all the numbers in here was this. We got an impact score of 13, 10 being perfect. So we weren't quite there, but actually I'm told unofficially we led the pack on this. The CFARs that were reviewed in this round, we were the best score. As we were last time we recompeted, and I think then we got a 20 or 22, but again, the 13 was quite a surprise, pleasant surprise. And an even bigger surprise, as we looked through the summary statement, the impact scores for the cores, you'd expect, well, some to be above 13 and some below 13. They really range from 14 to 22, the working groups 30 to 31. And so the interpretation is that the competitive renewal proposal received an overall impact score of 13. It really sends the message that the whole was greater than the sum of the parts, meaning there's tremendous synergy, which we take as a very strong vote of confidence. I don't know if this is unheard of, but back in the day when I was chairing sessions for the NIH, it was a rarity that the impact score was that much better than the averages. So even though we got a 13, this is the review committee, and so they picked apart a lot of things that need improvement. Most of them of a minor nature, but one of them in particular was mentioned several times, and you've heard it all before, and this is a quote. One of the major failures was a failure to achieve a high proportion of publications citing CFAR support. So this is something we really need to work on, not just looking 5 years down the road, but we need to start doing it now because we're held accountable for this. And this is not just a problem with the Duke CFAR, it's CFAR-wide, so the other CFARs are struggling with this a bit too, but I think they've started to turn things around. And we actually anticipated this. This is a slide from last year's retreat where we just took an example of the flow core and the projects that were supported over the past 5 years a year ago. And again, it was a little bit eye-opening that only about a third of those publications that were directly helped by the core were really had referenced the CFAR. So NIH has a cadre of people who scan PubMed and scan a variety of other databases, and they can very easily locate publications from Duke, and they can hone in on whether they approved or whether they cited CFAR or not. So again, we really do need to be doing much, much better. Another minor criticism, I just listed a few here, that despite the success in recruiting and investment in pilot studies, there's a limited return in terms of newly funded R01s and PO1s. I think we actually started to turn this around since the grant was reviewed. I think since then, I'm aware of one new PO1, and I think one that's going back for re-review, and a couple of R01s. So again, obviously the big funding is CHAVI, but I think we're looking to, again, get back to a more diverse portfolio comprised of investigator-initiated R01s and PO1s. And then our scientific working groups we struggled with a little bit. NIH wanted us to, or the program staff at NIH was insisting that we have a finite lifespan, and the review committee kind of disagreed with that. And they said that limiting the existence of successful scientific working groups to 3 years doesn't seem to be productive. And I think we agree with this. And so I think the two working groups, one of which is coming up on that 3-year limit if it had not already passed it, I think we're going to extend as long as they're successful and productive. This is the org chart we included in the application. The changes we've done, we've added an internal advisory committee, which is comprised of many of the chairs and institute directors at Duke. We kept our external advisory committee as is. We're again making efforts to really engage the community advisory board as they interact with the executive committee, but as they actually interdigitate with all aspects of the CFAR. And you'll be hearing an update later on from the community advisory board, and we'll be re-emphasizing this throughout. Our strategic partners, again, this is what we included in the competitive renewal, but actually it's grown since then. I think of note is the Center for RNA Biology, and you'll be hearing a speaker in the afternoon, later on today, that's going to be representing that center that's headed by Hashimi Al-Hashimi. And again, there are others we need to add to this. So I'm going to have to try and figure out another figure that we can represent all the strategic partners that we're involved with. So briefly, the agenda today is following the similar format we have in past years, that we focus on new recruits, small grant recipients, and young faculty. And we have 4 outstanding speakers today. And that's going to be followed by an update by Stuart Carr from the update on the Community Advisory Board. John's going to speak briefly and open the poster session. I think the poster session has remained the focal point of this, and we've allotted now even more time to the poster session. So again, we'll roll up the garage doors. There'll be a little bit more light out there, and really take your time and spend time with the posters. We have 39 that are on display, and we want to give you plenty of time to look at all of them. And then we have oral presentations that were selected based on the abstracts for the posters. We have 3 of them. Again, outstanding speakers. We've put a little cushion in there from 12:15 to 12:25. If Sally Permar, who's chairing that session, doesn't need it, we'll turn you loose to lunch a little bit early. If we do need it, we'll continue discussions until 12:25. And then we will present awards for the poster and oral presentations and certificates after that. And I might add, for lunch, the posters will still be up, so if you didn't get a chance during the actual poster session, again, take the opportunity over lunch to go back and revisit them. We're fortunate for a keynote speaker. We have Mario Roederer, who's really speaking to us on a topic. This was just published in Cell not too long ago, and I think it's going to be of interest to many of you. And then the afternoon session is our strategic partnership session. And again, we have 4 speakers that I think that illustrate the diversity of our partnerships, and again, should be of interest to all of you. Upcoming things, we have Chalk Talk coming up October 5th. Mary McKellar is going to lead this, and it's in Trent Hall here in room 124. And then the Matthews Lectureship, many of you, I think, remember it was kind of an annual event. We've kind of backed off from that because we really want to attract world-class speakers. We've had Tony Fauci, Joe Sadrowski, Bob Gallo, Rafi Ahmed, et cetera. And we were fortunate enough to invite and have him accept the invitation Mark Davis from Stanford, who I think you'll all enjoy. And so mark your calendars way in advance. It's Thursday, March 24th. In the Searle Center. We couldn't get the Great Hall. It's occupied. So lastly, again, we just appeal for your help to help us improve the overall effectiveness of the CFAR. These issues seem trivial, but NIH is looking for them, and we really need to satisfy them. Any specific examples of value-added aspects of the CFAR, something we've done that's kind of an intangible that helped you along with your research or writing grants or reviewing grants, et cetera. Again, we would appreciate feedback on that so that we can utilize that in our yearly progress reports. We're always looking for suggestions for seminar and Chalk Talk speakers and topics. We intentionally don't have a monthly seminar series because there are too many monthly seminar series. So we do it kind of ad hoc. So if there is someone out there, an extramural speaker that you think would really be of interest to the membership, please let us know. And we're fortunate to have a mechanism, the William Way Lectureship, that we can fund their travel and honorarium, et cetera, for that. So we're open to suggestion, and please don't be shy about that. Likewise for Chalk Talks. We've been marching down each of the cores doing Chalk Talk sessions, and I think some of them have been very well attended, others not so much, but it's, again, a very useful informal forum, especially for young investigators. We don't allow people to show slides, and so it really is a Chalk Talk and very informal. So I urge you to think about that. And if there's a topic that you think would be of interest, again, we're open to suggestion. We really need suggested areas for future CFAR retreats, and we sent around a questionnaire or a survey about, is it 3 years ago now? About 3 years ago, and it was very helpful. But many of you suggested that you wanted something in the spring that was different from this. And so we put that into our competitive renewal, and I got the knee pads on and went to the dean and said, we need some more money to sponsor a spring event, and they very graciously accepted the request and said yes. So we have funding to do this. We have no idea what we're going to do or how to do it, but I think there's enough young talent in the audience that have initiative and great ideas that, again, please contact Mary Orris, contact me, contact any of the core directors, because we really want, if we are going to have a spring event this coming spring, we need to be planning it now so that we can reserve space and do whatever. So we're truly open to any and all suggestions, and we want to get that going very quickly. We're always looking for potential new CFAR members, so if you have new people coming into your department that you think would have an interest in HIV research, they don't have to be, quote, HIV researchers. They just, as long as they have an interest in the things that we do, we would love to welcome them to the CFAR. We're always looking to improve our outreach to, our community outreach rather, and again, we'll be talking a little bit about that throughout the day. And again, basically, how can we better serve the clinical and basic research communities? We're always looking to get better. We're not going to rest on our laurels of a 13. We want a 10 next time. So again, we want to be a contributor. And again, we try and spare you this because I hate surveys as much as the next person, but I think this year we're probably due for another membership survey. I urge you, we want all of you, both the full members and the associate members, to participate in this. It's very, very helpful in directing us on how to better serve you. And this probably won't happen until the spring, and will happen with the help of the SBS Corps, who helped do this last time. So again, look for that. Please take it seriously. We really need your input in this type of survey. And again, I end with visibility is everything. Please acknowledge the CFAR. We've even made it easy on the website, cfar.duke.edu. We have suggested ways you could acknowledge us. There's verbiage there. Certainly, if you do acknowledge us, and it doesn't have to be just if you've received a small grant. It can be if you're here participating in a retreat. Again, you don't make us a co-author or anything, but mention the CFAR, cite the CFAR, and include the grant. It will help us quite a bit to convince the NIH that CFARs are needed in order to provide infrastructure. So let me end with the Director's Award. I started this many years ago, and we really wanted to recognize someone who contributed significant added value to Duke CFAR over the past year. We can't use CFAR money. I don't have discretionary funds, so my wife has consented to let me do this every year with our own funds, and she does it with a smile on her face. So again, to recognize the person who we think over the past year has contributed greatly to the CFAR and contributed added value, this year's winner is Stuart Carr. Stuart? And this is, again, in recognition of his tireless efforts as the clinical core study coordinator and how he's really re-energized CFAR synergy. So congratulations. Enjoy the dinner. And I think with that, I'll turn it over to Herman.